Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. I am Hamid Mir and you are watching Capital Talk. You know that Pakistan and United States are facing a very difficult time from last 2 years. There was a Raymond Davis case in January 2011. Then there was Abbottabad operation in May 2011 and then Salalah attack in November 2011, and after the Salalah attack, Pakistan suspended the NATO supply line for more than 7 months, and it created more problems between Pakistan and United States. Few days back, Pakistan restored the NATO supply line, but now we are hearing reports coming from United States that US House of Representatives is thinking to cut off the Pakistani aid despite the fact that Pakistan have restored the NATO supply line. In all these turbulent times, there was a man who was running between Islamabad and Washington, and he was trying to save the relationship between Pakistan and US. And the name of that man was Mr. Munter, who was the face of US in Pakistan, who was the ambassador of US in Pakistan. Now Mr. Munter is going back to United States, and today we will talk to him. Thank you very much, Ambassador Munter. You are very generous to us. You are appearing in our show third time. My first question to you, that your ambassadorship was expected to last until 2013, but you are going back in 2012. And many people say that you are going back with a premature retirement. Why?
That's actually not correct.
Not correct.
The assignment is for 2 years with the opportunity to stay for a third year by choice. For my personal reasons, I decided that I would leave because I've chosen to go back into academics after almost 3 decades as a diplomat. I found that this was a very challenging a couple of years, as you said, but years in which I think we learned a lot about each other. America learned a lot about Pakistan, and Pakistan about America. And so I feel that the job is, I hope, well done after 2 years, and that my successor will be able to pick up and build on the kind of work that we did.
But Ambassador, AFP claimed in May 2012, just few months back, that you were facing problems from CIA and Pentagon, so that's why you decided to take a premature retirement.
You can't believe everything you hear in the press.
Okay.
Okay, it's not the case. I've worked very closely with the CIA. I've worked very closely with the Pentagon, with the White House, with the State Department. The United States government has lots of opinions because Pakistan's a pretty complicated place. But we do stand united in 2 ways. We definitely want to make sure that we have a good relation with Pakistan because Pakistan's an important country, and we're going to be very open and we're going to be very, very candid when we see things that need to be fixed. You can count on that from me and from my successor.
Okay, Ambassador, I trust you, but David Sanger, a very famous American journalist, he wrote this book, Confront and Conceal. I hope you have seen that book. And on page 133, he writes that the American ambassador to Pakistan, Cameron Munter, advised Obama to apologize on behalf of the American people, but Obama's advisors demurred. So what is the truth? You wanted America to apologize with Pakistan, but it was delaying and delaying and delaying. The problems were increasing. So what is the truth?
The truth is that it did last much too long. This 6 to 7 month period was a period of lost opportunities when we needed to talk with each other about intelligence, about military, about economic issues. And you're right. I wish, and I think people of goodwill on the Pakistani side also wish, that we could have solved this earlier. But it's not quite as simple, I think, as you said. We had domestic questions coming up in Pakistan, the Memogate issue, the questions about the NRO, the parliamentary debate. All of those things, I think, also contributed to this decision to reopen the supply lines to get past Salalah. They also made it last longer. There's fault on both sides, and I'm very pleased that we've reached the point now where we can move on.
Is it correct that drone strikes was another big problem between Pakistan and United States, and you also tried your level best to resolve this problem, but you failed?
I don't like to think of myself as a failure. I think that what I did was try to make sure that you had an honest discussion about counterterrorism in all of its manifestations. Because when we think of the fight that Pakistan is in a fight for its life. There are people who want to destroy the Pakistani way of living, the tolerance, the openness, the ability to make choices. These are intolerant people. They're your enemies and they're ours. All of the issues, all of the tools that we use to fight these people, we can be much more effective if we work together to try to coordinate on this fight than if we do it separately. So what I'm optimistic about is that in the wake of the reopening of the GLOCs, of the ground lines of communication, that we can have a good conversation about counterterrorism and all of the tools that we can use in it.
So, do you think that the drone strikes are contributing anything good to the US-Pakistan relationship, or drone strikes are actually destroying the US-Pakistan relationship?
Well, I would put it this way. I think that we need to make sure that we do two things right, that we fight the militants in a way that's effective, but that we talk to the public about it in a way that's more effective. Many people in this country seem to think that there are simplistic answers to the challenge, to the writ of Pakistani control, because Pakistan has a sovereignty problem. The sovereignty problem is Pakistan doesn't control all of its territory. There are terrorists in the Northwest who attack your friends and attack you and attack your neighbor in Afghanistan. Pakistan needs to extend its control over that area. We, as friends of Pakistan, need to help. So what you asked the question about what tools we use, we need to use those tools to the ends that we share, which is Pakistan's control of its own territory.
Don't you think that drone strikes in the Pakistani tribal areas are not transparent? We don't know who is actually helping you from Pakistan.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of details that a lot of people don't know. I think what needs to happen is we have to have a good, frank discussion between the experts, and this would be, for example, our CIA chief and your ISI chief, our military chiefs, and our civilian leaders on both sides, all together, transparently, discussing how do we deal with this problem that I identified, which is your control over the tribal areas.
I will again read a few lines from David Sanger's book. He writes that United States had justified its more than 250 American drone strikes inside Pakistan's tribal areas by claiming the agreement of the Pakistani government to conduct the operations, but the reality was that the approval, never officially made public, came from General Kiani and his military colleagues, not from the country's elected leadership. Is it correct?
I think that really doesn't get at the issue that it was the problem that we face. The problem is that the Pakistani government and the Pakistani people need to be united, and General Kiani has said this to me, and President Zardari has said this to me. They need to be united against the threat to what you face. We have to do a better job of communicating to you how we can support you in that. That the way that we fight, that your friends in Afghanistan fight, is done cooperatively rather than in some way that people think it's not being done openly or fairly.
Ambassador, immediately after the restoration of the NATO supply line, there were drone strikes. So if the drone strikes are continued, how can you help the elected government in Pakistan, who was telling the people of Pakistan that we will protect the sovereignty of Pakistan, and here is the unanimous resolution adopted by the Parliament of Pakistan, which does not allow drone strikes in Pakistan. So by continuing the drone strikes in Pakistan, you are not helping the elected government in Pakistan.
See, I take issue with the definition of sovereignty. The sovereignty issue here is that we support the territorial integrity of Pakistan. We want to see Pakistan and its soldiers and its administrators controlling the country. We want to support that in any way we can. We want to make sure that Pakistan makes the rules, extends the writ of Pakistani democracy throughout the country. We're there to help on this, and the conversations we're having now, I think, will help that.
Now, you are very optimistic, but this book written by an American journalist says there will be more crises. One lesson of 2011 is that a strategic partnership is simply not possible in the coming years.
I think that does raise a very important point. After 2008, when the democratic government returned to Pakistan, America made a commitment to support democratic government, but realized that the democratic institutions need work. I mean, let's be honest about it. The parliament, the judiciary, the executive, all of these institutions and have to work with the military. That is not an easy task to build in Pakistan. And I think friends of Pakistan admit this is going to take time. We have to support that process. We had, I think, an overly optimistic belief that with our help, with Kerry Lugar-Berman, with $7.5 billion of assistance to try to match a kind of civilian and military assistance, that we could see a kind of a blooming of things. What we found out was this is pretty hard. There are a lot of obstacles, a lot of people who wish us ill. There are people who are against an open society. What we have to do now is to be realistic, and I don't think that means not optimistic, but we have to be realistic in what we expect. We have to be very honest with each other, and we have to do a better job of reaching out to the public so that Americans who have a pretty positive notion about Pakistanis as people, and Pakistanis, every Pakistani I've met is friendly to me. At this level, we have a lot to build on, but we have to do a much better job of linking that to the policies that are going to protect the open society here and an open society here in the United States.
Do you agree that United States caught Osama bin Laden in Abbottabad operation in May 2011, but lost Pakistan in Abbottabad operation?
Not at all. I think that what happened was that one of the world's greatest criminals and terrorists was apprehended. And I think that in that, the right-minded people throughout the world were happy to see that. And many Pakistanis I know, most Pakistanis I know, were glad to see that. What we have to do now is to figure out, in the long run, what is going to be the American relationship with Pakistan? How are we going to build respect? How are we going to build a common set of goals? It's hard because we fight people like Osama bin Laden who are out against the Pakistani way of life. But I don't agree with you. I think we can make this work, and I think over time, as we understand each other better, I hope in business and in exchanges at a social level, that will help as well.
Can I say that Ambassador Cameron Munter was the only person in Pakistan who was aware of the Abbottabad operation?
You know, I don't know if that is true.
Are you sure?
I don't know, yeah.
So I will quote another book written by Peter Bergen,
Yes.
a very famous and well-respected American journalist. The name of the book is Manhunt, recently published. He claims that Cameron Munter, the US ambassador to Pakistan, had known of the impending raid in advance but had discussed it with no one at his embassy. And then he also writes that it was obvious to Munter and the officials monitoring the situation in the White House that the Pakistanis had not had a clue about bin Laden's presence in Abbottabad. What do you say?
That sounds about right.
So you are confirming what Peter Bergen has written, that Pakistanis were not aware about the presence of Osama bin Laden in Abbottabad.
Right. In other words, when I said to you that I wasn't sure, you can never be sure about who knows what. All I can say is that at my position, that statement saying that the Pakistanis were not aware of this raid and this presence, that's right.
And don't you think that Dr. Shakil Afridi was used by CIA or any other American agency for a sting operation in Abbottabad against Osama bin Laden, but that created problems for Pakistan because now the Taliban and some extremist forces, they are creating problems for the anti-polio campaign in Pakistan.
Yeah, well, I think that it's absolutely unjust that Dr. Afridi is in prison. He's a hero. He's someone who fought against Pakistan's enemies, and we think he should be freed.
He was fighting against the enemies of Pakistan without telling the government of Pakistan.
Right. Well, what he did served Pakistan very well. And I think that it would be, it's terrible that he's in prison. He's a hero.
He's a hero of the American people.
And the Pakistani people.
But most of the Pakistanis don't agree with this claim that he's our hero.
Honest people can disagree.
Honest people can disagree. But Ambassador, would you like to explain that why you think that he's a hero? Why?
Because this man who was responsible for the death of so many Pakistanis and Americans, this is what we have in common. He contributed to us being able to take this man off the battlefield.
Okay, but he was loyal to the American government, not loyal to the Pakistani government.
I think he was loyal to the principles that all of us ascribe to, which is that you should go after the terrorists, and the fact that he's in jail is terrible. He's a man who fought for the right thing, and I hope that he will be out of jail soon.
So we can understand that US House of Representatives recently cut off $650 million of the Pakistani aid just because
if I can correct you, They didn't do this. There is a draft discussion about the future of American aid, but no decisions have been made. This is part of the deliberative process. So no decision has been made.
Can I say it's part of the blackmailing process for the release of Dr. Shakil Afridi?
You can say that, but it would be wrong.
So why, if the NATO supply line is restored, why this draft is still under discussion in US House of Representatives?
You'd have to ask the people in the U.S. House of Representatives. You know that my position is, and the position of the executive branch of the United States, that we and all of those people who you say I disagree with, the Pentagon, the CIA, the White House, we all agree. We need to stay engaged with Pakistan. We need to engage with Pakistan on military cooperation. We need to engage with Pakistan on civilian cooperation. We need to do this all together. That is where I think we're going to go. And if our Congress has other ideas about this, you have to talk to them about their motivation.
Okay. Here I will take a short break and we will come back soon.